Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Small Business and Entrepreneur Podcast with Heart of Queen Podcast. My name is Cecilia Vickman, and I am your host. And today I'm jumping not too far away from my hometown, Wills Point. Rockwall is 45 minutes drive northwest of me, where I find the guest of today, Miss Angelica Weber. Welcome, Angelica.
Thank you. Thank you for having
How are
me.
you doing?
I'm doing great. Today was a sunny day in Rockwall, which was really weird for us.
Yeah, when we record this, I know it's gonna be aired in April, but it's in beginning of February. So here in Texas, we're kind of happy about the good days and
Yes. Good weather.
we also
So
like
that's
in between here, in between today and air day, we may have a snowmageddon. We're still in February, so
yes,
you see
another
everything with
one.
like it's just because it's cozy though.
Yes.
So tell me, you replied on my email, my social media request of, "Hey, I want guests to the show." And you replied, and I understand you're like the high energy businesswoman. Who is Angelica Weber?
Yeah. I mean, I love any time that I am able to learn about other people, and obviously being in situations like this really helps me come out of my shell and helps me with my public speaking, which isn't, in a normal one-to-one setting. I'm like, let's talk about everything. But then all of a sudden there's a camera or a bunch of people, and I'm like, oh, maybe not. Let me ask ChatGPT what I should say. It's so I try to, really enjoy doing things like this. Thank you for having me on and just letting me really gain more practice and be more comfortable with talking about myself. I'm usually talking about clients and talking about industry and products and all of the things. And so it's really quite a change to talk about me.
It is, and I think I was talking to another small business person earlier today, and we concluded that we are so careful about a business and keeping our project to ourselves. So we have kind of hard time to share and kind of like, hey, what's your opinion about this? And gain other people's opinions and value them and take them to our heart and grow with it, not see it as a competition necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard, and I think, having platforms like this is amazing because you're able to listen to a lot of similar stories. So it's great.
yeah, the purpose of it is to inspire and learn from both people's rise and falls. Because being a small business person and entrepreneur is not just a challenge of whatever it may involve, but it's also very giving and fulfilling, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So you are the owner of your company, Nico Tati Design. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
What is Nico Tati Design?
Nico Tati Designs started, it's a company named after my parents, my dad, Nico, my mom, Tati, and they are amazing immigrant parents from Cuba and Mexico. And, that hustling spirit was there with them. My mom came over from Cuba when she was 11 as part of the Peter Pan exodus, which is a crazy story in itself. And so having to overcome so much as an 11-year-old in a country you don't know. And of course, my father came here from Mexico. So being able to combine the hustle and the desire to want more, I kind of created Nico Tati in hopes to be a better parent to my own children, just like they were I didn't want to make someone else money. I didn't want to make someone else a better parent. You know, me working for someone else meant that they get to go to basketball games and birthday parties and vacation. And meanwhile, I'm stuck back at the office, you know, so that they can have that, which of course it's every business owner's dream to be able to do that, to be able to delegate and step back. So that's kind of where Nico Tati was born, and just out of a necessity to be a better mom, as crazy as that sounds.
But we were talking about this before I pressed record, and I think it's a dream of a lot of people to be a better mom and not being tied up. Now you have the opportunity to schedule your own calendar that fits your family, but it's not everybody who dares taking that step. How did you work in that thought process of, okay, am I really going to do that?
You know, it was a decision that I made so quickly, and it was a decision that I didn't sleep on. I just did it. You know,
It
I
was
had
no
to,
return.
yeah, it was one of those things where I was just fed up. You know, we had bought a home in Rockwall, and my son was starting a new school, and he was just like, Mom, I want to do soccer, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And I'm just like, I can't, I don't have time for that. And it just was such a like something went off, and I'm like, no, I can do that. I'm going to do that.
Now or
And
never.
yeah, well, and you know, we were talking about how time passes by so quickly, and you know, the way that I remember my childhood and the way that my parents remember my childhood is very different.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, we were so supportive and we were there and we did all the things. And I'm like, no, you weren't. You never went to a volleyball game. You never went to, you know, but they were working.
Yeah.
And I admire that, and I don't fault them for that, you know, but I want to provide both for my children, and I want my son to know that his mom worked her butt off for those soccer, you know, for soccer training and gymnastics and dance and all of the things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think he will. You have 2 kids, don't you?
I do. I have a 9-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl.
Yeah, and I think they will realize that when they grow up, and especially when they themselves start to be a working age, they're like, "Oh, welcome to adulthood." Not
Yeah.
really what we expected it maybe.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does Nico Tati Design do?
So I originally started off as an interior designer with my business, doing mainly remodels, large scale remodels, from knocking down walls, redoing kitchens, additions. And then, as of maybe the last year or so, it evolved into virtual assistant services for the construction industry.
Mhm.
So just helping with their marketing needs, helping with planning event trainings, or training events, helping with grand openings, and helping with, you know, whatever they need, whether it's the back of the house, like writing estimates, talking to clients. That's one of the biggest things is, you know, when you're a tile installer, or you fabricate stone, or you're one of these people that is in the construction industry in a niche market, and a client calls you, well, you know, you're in the middle of fabricating a countertop. It's hard for you to answer that phone, especially when it's just one of you. So that's kind of where I come in, and I'm able to talk to the client. And I like to say that I speak the industry language. I'm bilingual in English and Spanish, but I speak my industry's language. So if someone calls me asking about wanting to add, you know, a new shower, or demo a wall, or something about their electrical panel, I'm able to keep up with that. I'm well versed in my industry. And I think that that's a really fun thing that sets me apart, just because I'm able to keep up with so many of the jargon and not get lost in it.
So you must have some kind of background in constructions to be able to have that knowledge.
Yes. So I originally started doing project managing for a remodeling company. And anyone who is in the construction world knows that the project managers need to know everything. We are, and
Wondering.
not, yeah, and not just construction, but any project manager. We are glorified babysitters. And sometimes we're babysitting grown men, and sometimes we're, babysitting robots or data or whatever, and I worked many years project managing and getting to know the trade and getting to know the industry, and getting to know the language of each of these different trades to be able to be here and keep up with it. It's one of those things, like when you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, oh, your hemoglobin is elevated because your cholesterol, la 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 la. And the patient's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, what does that even mean? And so I feel like I come in and I'm able to explain in layman's terms, in a language that we can understand, because that's not, I'm not a installer. I'm not an electrician. I'm just been raised, professionally in this industry, and I'm able to just kind of work all of it in.
You make sense to people because
I
I'm one
think
of
so.
those. You like, I am the most unhandy person there is on this planet Earth, and I'm almost proud of it, of my unhandiness. And it's almost like a joke. I'm gonna put a nail in the wall. I was like, no, that's not really my thing. Which means that if anything needs to be done around the house, and somebody says, yeah, this and this and this, yeah, right. On top of that, I'm grown up in a metric system, so people say, yeah, it's a 2 by 3.
No, it's not. Yeah.
You know, I'm so lost when it comes to that kind of verbiage in language. I was like,
Yes.
yeah. So to me, you're the one that will make sense to me.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my goal. That's always my goal. I want to make sure that the client always understands what is happening and always has a clear expectation um, of what is going to happen. I think a lot of times these people just show up and they start, taking up floors or knocking down walls, and they're like, what do I do? Like, nobody told me to, move the cat bowl, or no one told me to empty out the refrigerator, or,
Yeah,
and it's like, no, I got you. Let me tell you the entire process. We're good.
right. And that's always good. So how do you feel is the difference? Yeah, you working for somebody versus being on your own. There's a lot of stress and anxiety coming into this. How have you tackled that? Un what can I say? Like unknownness, like the uncertainness of taking that step.
I mean, for as much stress and anxiety that being a business owner, it comes with all of that, but it also comes with so much reward and so much happiness. And the happiness just outweighs the rest of it so many times. But I really turn to my support system, whether it's my family or my professional support system. I'm a part of a couple of local business networking groups. Um, and a part of some national women's association, women owned, women of the flooring business. And it's just a really, it's nice to be able to turn to someone who knows exactly what you're going through, and at all stages, right? There are women in my arsenal and men in my arsenal that I can call who have been in the business 40 years, and they're successful, and they don't do it anymore. They've handed it to, they've sold it, or it's the children, or I can turn to someone who literally just started their business last month out of the back of their car, and it's amazing to be able to have such a large spectrum of support, because it's you need it. You have to have support in those tough days, and I think that you get a lot of mom guilt, a lot of business owner guilt, and it's just a lot about balance and being able to be held accountable by yourself and knowing your priorities. If I don't meet a deadline, then it's okay. We're gonna be okay, and we'll just pick it up tomorrow, and I'll apologize and whatever. But we're not stressing over here, and because that stress goes out into the kids and into your other clients and into the people around you. And I've
Making
just,
mistakes.
yeah, it's like a little like tentacles, little stress tentacles just touching everything and making it yucky.
Right. It's kind of like the stress infects everything and you start to get the wheel turning the wrong way. And it's
Yes.
almost more hard to get it going back the right way. Have you
Yes.
had somebody that you've been able to mentor or like that has mentored you in the perspective of small business, not in the industry per se, but how it is to be a small business owner? Because it's a difference from being an employee or a project manager. Then, shit, you're on your own now. Good luck, man. It's
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because you're good at interior design doesn't mean that you know everything about budgeting or
Right.
finance and bookkeeping and all that. Have you had anyone to that has been behind you all the time on that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, there's several people that come to mind. Michelle Winters, she is part of the Women of the Flooring Business, and she is life coach, entrepreneur, businesswoman extraordinaire. If you are looking for, a grant for your business, she's the one to go to, and she's going to walk you through it. If you are looking for, hey, childcare is just tough. Oh, let me help you get a voucher, or let me, she knows the industry. She knows what being an entrepreneur is. And she's amazing. And it's definitely one of those where I'm able to turn to her for the mom guilt is settling in, help me walk me through this, or the business owner, and it's awesome when your mentors become your friends and vice versa. And I think that when you're open to learning from other people who are successful and people who do things differently than you, you're going to go a really long way. And I think that I'm open to just learning and listening from people who do things differently than I do, people who are not in my same industry. Because I'm just, my company's 4 years old, where, the statistic is, most companies go under in 5 years or less, so I'm just like, one more year, guys. Let's do this. Let's just hang on one more year.
That means that you basically started this right before or during COVID?
Right in 2020, towards the end of 2020, um, was kind of when I made my decision. I had my daughter in November of 2020, and by April of 2021, Nico Tati was in full effect. So it was insane. We started the company in April, moved to Rockwall in April, um, quit my job, girl, like all of the things.
Wow. And then COVID on top of that.
And yes, and COVID, and it was,
COVID being so new, taking this leap step of uncertainty, and then on top of it, shit like COVID comes because that's nothing that no one really plans for, expects, and especially back then. We basically like, what is COVID? You said.
yeah.
How did that affect you starting up your business?
It was difficult because a lot of people were still not comfortable with having people in their homes.
Mhm.
And the people who were comfortable with having people in their homes, you have to wear a mask and you have to wear booties on your feet and, gloves or this or that. And it was just such a weird time. And then there were people who just didn't care. They're like, come on in, let me kiss you and shake your hand. Like it was just such a weird time. And I think that because it was such a weird time, it helped me in the virtual world.
Yeah.
Um, I no longer had to go to the showrooms and meet clients there. I was able to do things virtually, and I was able to really hone on my skill of digital design and being able to paint a picture with software and being able to send them mood boards and mail out samples. And I mean, the entire industry changed completely. From before, you would have to go pick up a tile or a sample tile and then bring it back. And now you just, can I have a sample of this? Absolutely, it's there tomorrow.
Right.
So it's as weird as COVID was, the end result is okay.
Well, there are businesses that fell because of it, and there are
Mhm.
businesses that strive, and it's always fun to hear those who actually started the business in COVID, even though you didn't start it because of COVID, you got laid off or something like that.
Mhm.
It was still a very different situation to start any kind of business. And
Yes.
I bet your kind of business when you're in interior and design and in construction, like COVID affected that kind of industry so hard just because of the face to face wasn't really possible for a while.
Yeah, the face to face wasn't possible. And even when the face to face was possible, if your installer got COVID,
You're
that
done.
was it. You know,
You're done.
you're done. And for us, we worked in from home, and that was great. Um, and the face to face wasn't really missed. It wasn't really like, oh, I can't design my bathroom anymore. I can't pick out tile. No, the biggest, in our industry, the people who took the hit the hardest was the installers. And, and sometimes it was, the electrician's wife has COVID. Well, now everyone in his house has to quarantine.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So guess what? You're not getting electrical done today.
Sorry.
Sorry. What do you do? Versus now it's like you have 18 different electricians lined up, and it's very different now. And I think that, everyone's back to, being comfortable going to work sick. So,
Yeah,
everything's back to normal. No one's washing their hands anymore. So it's great.
exactly. Are people like, does COVID tests even exist? Is my question. I have some left over here somewhere, and it's like, yeah, nope,
Yeah. They're in the
nope.
medicine cabinet somewhere.
Somewhere, right, somewhere, like, take 2 aspirin or whatever and move on, we're done. It's like the flu. Okay, whatever,
Yeah.
sleep for 24 hours and we're done.
You'll be fine.
Right, right. So, how have you been able to promote your business? You're coming in
Uh,
from the industry, but still, you need new clients.
Everything has been word of mouth. Everything has been social media. Everything has been or very organic leads. I go to a couple of different trade shows
You have
within
one
my
coming up.
industry.
You have some event coming up here in a week or 2. What is that?
Yes, it's coverings. It's the largest and premium tile and stone event in the US. It's a fantastic show. It's free to attend. It's in Atlanta, Georgia.
It's not
Um,
Megan.
you can
It's
come.
far away. It's far away.
Yeah. But it's gigantic. It's a couple 100,000 people, talking about COVID. That was, that didn't happen during COVID. But it's literally every type of tile and stone that you could possibly think of in the same roof. Um, from handcrafted tiles and mosaics to these gigantic, slabs, that are like, 10 feet high, in all shapes and sizes. And it is, truly an amazing thing to witness. There's a lot of training events, a lot of certifications happening, a lot of networking and happy hours going on during that week. And it is, and that's really trade shows and industry events like that is where I get a lot of my clients. And it's not that they're signing contracts on the day of, they're watching me work and they're getting to know me and they get to see who my circle is. And they get to see what I'm capable of because I work so closely within these industry shows that they're able to see, oh my gosh, if she's able to do this at such a large scale, she can definitely do this for me at a smaller scale in my hometown of, whatever.
So how much business do you do within the DFW area versus outside, like Texas and out of state?
Within the DFW area, I have one client.
One client. Okay.
One client, and they are 5 minutes away from me. And that's great. Everything else is virtual. I have a client out of Pennsylvania, which is fantastic. It's a different world over there. They get snow, like real snow. And these people have heated driveways.
Oh,
And
I
it's
like
like, it's like a thing. I'm like freezing over here, freezing in 62-degree weather,
you see rain here, and we had snow a couple of weeks ago, and Texas panics, and up there it's like, here we go again. Okay.
Yeah, school was canceled here, and it's we have, of course, tornado sirens, but our tornado sirens also go off for high winds. They go off for severe thunderstorms, and they go off for tornadoes. So it's one of those things where you're just tuck and roll when it sounds.
You learn to live with it.
Yes.
Depending on where you live, you just like, I know there are some weather issues in California and that area right now.
Yes.
It's just wherever you are, you just have to roll with it and
Mhm.
adjust your small business or your entrepreneurship as you go. You know, they thought I was crazy when I moved to Texas and I actually had a snow shovel with me. And then a couple of years later, we had the first snowmageddon, and I took out my big snow shovel, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm the Swede in the family." I had the best time ever just shoveling snow because I was the only one who had a snow shovel in Texas.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. So, what are you gonna do on this show here in Atlanta in a couple of days? What are your
Uh,
expectations?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things, I'm an ambassador for the show, which basically means that I get to be the point person for people who are registering. So within my industry, I get a lot of questions like, where do I register? How do I register? What does it cost? Where do I go? Where do I stay? What hotel? All of the
Know
things.
everything.
Yeah, but I love it. I know it's a lot, and I was just in Vegas in January for a different show, and even that show was, where do I pick up my badge? How do I order an Uber? Where, how do I do this? And it's like, you guys, like, I don't live in Vegas. Like, everyone understands that, right? I'm not, you know.
I'm
But I've been to
kidding
Vegas.
too.
Yeah. I've been to Vegas so many times for these shows that it just becomes second nature, and it's the tips and tricks of the industry and being so involved and part of my role at Coverings is being part of the Women of the Flooring business and doing we're having a networking hour reception, and really excited for that. We're also doing a galvanized women lounge where we'll have a masseuse, we'll have someone doing nail art, we'll have some happy hours and cocktails and refreshments and just I think that anyone who has been to a trade show, whether it's construction or not, you walk 20,000 steps in a day. It's like Disneyland, you know?
Yeah.
So being able to take a
Enough.
break, yeah, being able to take a break from that and hide a little bit and recharge and physically recharge and or literally recharge your phone, um, is a great space to have. So I'm really, blessed to be able to be part of the group of women that was asked to take care of that for this year.
That is so cool, and I love that idea, and I hope that maybe some other organizer of trade shows, like, listen to this, hint, hint, okay? Like, learn from this now, okay? Especially if you're in the EMS field, because I go to a lot of EMS shows.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, hint, hint.
Yeah, there's a big firefighter and EMS show in, I think, Atlanta a
Mm,
week before my show. And
yep.
so, all of us girls, we were like, dang, we missed the firefighters by a week.
I know, but anyway. They just think they are something,
Yeah.
you don't at all. Sorry, I'm gonna have a lot of people mad at me right now.
No.
So, oh, oh Lord, it's fun though. It's always fun. Shows are fun, but a lot of work.
Yes.
But a lot of
So
work.
much work. Yeah.
So, where are you taking Nico Tati Design from here? Where do you see yourself in 5 and 10 years?
I would like to start scaling my business. I'd like to, my goal for this year is either to hire someone or maybe bring on an intern, and start scaling and start being able to get more clients and grow my business that way, so that I'm able to, obviously everyone wants growth. Um, I'm only one person, and although I'm Superwoman, there's only so much that Superwoman can do. So I want to be able to take on more clients. I'd like to be able to do more traveling. And I'd like to just be able to do more with my children and be able to, one of my goals for 2025, I know we're only in 2024, but 2025, the show that I'm going to in a couple of weeks is going to be in Orlando. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take my son with me, and I want to go to Disney and Universal and be
Oh,
able to have him experience a little bit of my world, but then go have fun for several days at the amusement parks. And I'm not going to be able to do that unless I have backup, because my professional world, my company cannot stop because I'm not here.
right.
So being able to have someone to rely on to be able to um, keep an eye on things while I'm away is one of my top goals.
Absolutely. And that's hard to leave that trust to somebody else.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we were talking about a little bit more of local networking before, and you were participating in a lot of networking locally. How has that helped you help others?
Again, so I pride myself in knowing somebody, I know somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
And in Rockwall, it's this big, but uh, in the grand scheme of things of DFW, there's millions and millions and millions of us.
Yeah.
So being able to really connect with different people throughout these networking events. They're held monthly or weekly. They're really great because you really get to know some of these folks, whether they're selling life insurance or they're a travel agent or a roofer, real estate agent, whatever they are. You really get to develop relationships with these people, and you want to refer people, potential clients, to people that you know, people that you trust, because that's your name connected to it. So there's, when someone asks me about a travel agent, I know exactly who I'm going to refer because I know her. I know her kids. I know her mom. They've come to my house. They know my kids. And it all started from networking.
And
And
the thing, if they need somebody in construction, they will automatically turn to you if
yeah,
that's where they're looking, and in my world, networking is so important, and so many small business owner I find does not network and doesn't do it, and I'm like, "How do you survive?"
yeah. It's hard. I don't think people see, I think people either don't see the value in it, so they don't want to spend an hour away from work or an hour away from the office or an hour away from an installation. And some people see it as, well, I don't get enough leads. They're not giving anything to me. And I think that if you're walking in with the expectation of what do I get, then you're
Yeah.
not going to get anything, because that's not what networking is about. Especially small business networking. The
Yeah.
biggest thing is that we're entrepreneurs, and there is no one out there that is going to understand what an entrepreneur is going through at the holidays. Another entrepreneur.
Right. Right.
And having that struggle of, it's my slow season, or I lost a client, or I haven't signed any new contracts, or I haven't sold anything. And it's, no one will understand you better than another entrepreneur. It doesn't even matter if it's in the same industry or not. And that's what the networking is about, is building your tribe, building your people. And sometimes it's just a professional tribe, a professional village. And then it turns into this awesome big family, and you go on vacations together.
And here's the fun thing. In episode 2, we had a home inspector, joining us, Stephen Edwards, and at
Hmm.
the time we did the recording, he emailed me like all of y'all has done and filled out the form. He didn't know anything about me. I'm a real estate agent on the side as well. I do a lot of things, y'all.
Hmm.
So I knew already when I saw his inquiry form that, this is somebody I need to know more about, not just through the podcast, but as a professional. So I
Hmm.
thought that was super interesting, which has led Steven to do several home inspections for my clients because I got to know him more on a personal. The podcast turned into a networking thing and we met afterwards. And now he has done several home inspections for my clients and they love him.
Yeah.
So I would never had known that. And now he asked me because he was fairly new at the time, "Oh, what networking events are you going to?" And I mentioned the ones I was going to, and he started to go to some and made more connections and all that. So networking is super important for
Yes.
everybody.
For everybody.
And
For
also,
everybody.
yeah, and also not just go once and say, "Oh, that didn't give, it wasn't good."
Hmm.
You have to go a couple of times
Yeah.
to make people comfortable with you and get to know you. Give them a chance, for goodness sake. Don't
Hmm.
just say one time, "Oh, I don't know, that didn't work for me." No, because you were there one time and you
Yeah.
probably ran out of there before everybody even had the time to ask for your business card.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I've discovered is that people want to buy and work with people that they know. So I think it's one of the reasons why I put myself out there on social media so much. And anyone who follows me on my business page can follow me on my personal page. It's there is no, while I have multiple personalities, we're all lovely. And we all share the same passion of wanting to grow and help clients. And the goofy side of me on personal and is the same goofy side that's going to show up to your house, to measure for countertops or to help design your nursery. And part of that is, people want to know you, and people want to know who you are, who they're investing their time with. Remodels are not like what you see on TV. They are not done in 3 to 5 business days.
They're not?
No, I'm so sorry.
I really thought it was.
Yeah, no, it's months and months and weeks. And, thanks to COVID, a lot of things were able to be sped up. So pulling permits has been easier because now that's all done online. And there is no having to go to the city and chase all of these things down. So there's some things that are, virtually are able to really, there's some ease there. But I think that, just part of the networking aspect is just being your genuine self and showing people that. And I think that, if you put it, if you build it, they will come.
Right, right. How has social media helped you get out in the world? And what platform has been most beneficial for you?
So Facebook is, I love Facebook. Facebook is my MySpace. It is where I am most comfortable and most at home within my industry, and within my friends of the industry. And I just put it out there, and anything and everything. I want to be able to show my clients what it's like when you work with me. And I want to, in that same breath, show them what it's like to not work with me, because when you work with me, yeah, what you miss out on. I show up to job sites with donuts and coffee and pizza and champagne or wine or what, that's what I'm showing up with. And I make it personal and I make it fun. And it's such a huge honor. It really is, to be welcomed into someone's home. Out of all of these people, they chose me and they trust me with the keys to their house, the codes to their alarm, and all of these things with their pets. And it's just, so I want to be able to really show that appreciation and show that they've made the right decision. And if they get Starbucks twice a week, then that's great.
I like it. And as well, I believe you agree with me in this. When you have a happy client, they will refer you to somebody else, and that is the absolute best client you ever can get, not just the
Yes.
one you just had, but the future one, because you already have established some kind of trust there.
Yes. Yes. There's, that saying of one client will tell one person how happy they are. An angry client will tell 5 people how angry they are.
Yeah,
And I'd rather have that one happy client tell one person and then that person tell another person. And part of that is, it is social media and being able to show off your brand new kitchen or show off your addition or your bathroom or your landscaping, whatever. People, and Facebook is the new Google. People are not, there's a lot of people going to Facebook for, does anyone recommend this, or does anyone know where I can find this? And it just becomes, one of those things where, you got to just navigate it. And if you're in it, you're in it. And it can work so well for so many people.
absolutely, absolutely. It's I love social media. It's kind of a different market. For me, it's also a little bit trusting what is real and what is not real.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting world. It's a kind
Yes.
of a different world, indeed.
Yes.
I had a question and I completely lost it. That's how it is when it's completely unscripted because I don't write
Yeah.
down my questions beforehand. That
Yeah.
wouldn't be fun. Yeah, now I got it again. So you're looking back, you've been in business 4 years. What is the biggest mistake you have done? Or what did you not anticipate would be a challenge being a small business owner?
Um,
What can you tell for me that happened for me to learn from do not do that mistake or do not do that because it didn't work for me?
I think that one of the biggest things is not acting and not working in anger, not making business decisions based out of anger. You hear that a lot on your personal life. You know, you might hear never go to bed angry. Don't, you know, in the morning, don't yell at your children because you set the tone for the rest of their day. And, you know, this the era of gentle parenting, right? Well, take those same exact concepts and put them into your business, into your professional life. And, you know, I think that sometimes saying no to a client out of anger or saying something to the client out of anger is not, yeah, it's like, oh, sorry.
Oops. Or
Yeah.
right before you hang up and they hear what you beep beep and
Yeah.
oh God,
Yes.
did they hear that?
So I was talking about someone else, not you.
I promise.
Yeah, so just that, I think that's just the biggest thing because I know that there's you know, you act out of anger and you don't know how detrimental it could be, and sometimes the ripple effect of doing that is just so tiny, and some of it is just so big, and it can cause such, you know, in a world where the world is so crazy and being an entrepreneur and small business is so crazy and stressful, adding more to that is just so unnecessary. So again, that's why I'm just, you know, if I miss a deadline, Mr. Client, I'm so sorry I missed your deadline. If you want to be mad at me, if you want to be this, you know, obviously I try to avoid situations and avoid things, but I try to just not let the little things get the best of me. And that's, I guess that's my biggest advice to everyone is just to take a deep breath. You know, in Mexico, we say, cuenta hasta 10, mama, you know, count to 10, mom.
Right.
You know, which was this horrible commercial about not beating your children, by the way. That's where it came from. And it
We
was,
do not advise you to beat the children on this show. Because that's
yeah,
why
count
do
to,
not
count to
support
10.
that. Count
Yeah.
to
Count to 10, and then if you still want to beat them, then, you know, don't do it in front of the camera.
10. Exactly. Look around first to make sure you're in your home with the doors closed,
Exactly.
please. And turn off all the video cameras
Yeah.
you may
Tell
have.
them that I go to sleep. Yep.
Right, right. Well, Angelica, thank you so much for joining me today. Anything you would like to add? I can remove, but I'm not. So anything you would like to add before we close of the day?
I'm just, you know, so thankful to be able to have shared this time with you. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for everyone who's going to watch this and share it. And if you want to go to coverings in a couple of weeks, you can message me for details.
Yeah, we'll put out Angelica's all social media channels and even information about that trade show on our episode post on the website. You can tell I'm a little bit tired right now. Harlequinpodcast.com. It's been a long day.
Yes.
So go to harlequinpodcast.com and our social media, and you'll find all the links and information about it there. Okay.
Yes.
So awesome. Thank you so much, Angelica. And to all of y'all out there, if you want to be a guest, I guess, well, go to the website and fill out the form and we'll schedule a recording for you. And if not, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye, everybody.